We want to go to Peter Alexander right now, who's standing by at the White House. Peter, the president's going to be trying to get a lot done here on the ground in a very short amount of time.
Lester, that's right. He is likely to be there only a matter of hours before returning to the United States. Intended trip to Jordan, where he was going to meet with Palestinian leaders. Mahmoud Abbas, the president, the Jordanian king Abdullah, and the Egyptian president has been called off following that awful blast that took place at the hospital in Gaza. The president, we were told by White House officials, will instead speak to El-Sisi of Egypt and to Mahmoud Abbas when he flies back aboard Air Force One later. But I think the key takeaway from what you saw moments ago was that it's not just the president standing with Israel, but standing in Israel, as Bibi Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, said here. And this moment that played out about half an hour ago is really the moment, the image, I think, that will reverberate around the world today. That embrace between the prime minister and the president. For Netanyahu, that alone makes the president's trip worth it, to demonstrate the support of the United States at this time. We are told by multiple administration officials that the idea of this visit was first floated not long after the awful attack, where more than 1,400 Israelis, individuals, were killed on October 7th. The president, visiting with members of his team on Monday, ultimately said that he felt strongly it was important to continue to stand in solidarity with Israel and the Israeli people in, as it was described to us, their hour of need. We will hear from the president with more formal remarks a little bit later today, Lester. As we understand, the president will, after this visit with Netanyahu, also be meeting with Netanyahu's war cabinet to get a better understanding of the strategy there. Among the key points that he has already made public, not just on the ground here in the U.S., but now on the ground in Israel, is the need for Israel to use restraint and some caution to try to limit civilian casualties as best possible now. Let's be very clear. What we have witnessed in the course of the last 24 hours has really changed this crisis, has made it even more volatile than it already was, with many Arabs in that part of the world protesting in the streets after that blast that took place at the hospital. The president, after those remarks later today, will return to the United States, but not before he meets with some of the members of those who lost loved ones. And the White House expects him to meet also with first responders and also those whose loved ones are still missing. Lester, just the last takeaway here, we heard from the president reiterating what the White House had said for the first time to us overnight. The death toll of Americans has now risen. It started as just a handful in the immediate hours after the attack. We have now learned, as the president just said, 31 Americans are among those dead, 13 still unaccounted for. Lester.
Peter Alexander, thanks. And I spoke to some families of the missing American families who were hopeful they would get a chance to speak to the president today. That still remains to be seen. That concludes this NBC News special report. We'll have much more ahead, streaming on NBC News Now, online at NBCNews.com. And, of course, this morning on Today's Show, I'll see you back here for NBC Nightly News. And, of course, we'll come on the air whenever events warrant. For now, I'm Lester Holt in Tel Aviv. Good day, everyone. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.